Hi there, and welcome to another edition of Cool People. Now, over the last 2 years or so, since coming out very publicly as being transgender and then doing lots of trans awareness training and public speaking and media appearances about it, I've met all sorts of amazing people with incredible stories to tell. And so that's what gave me the idea of doing this series called Cool People, because all these incredible people have become my friends. And so I've got a new friend with me today, all the way over from the States. So it's 4 o'clock here, and I think it's 9 o'clock with you at the moment, isn't it? So
Yes, it is.
it's
Yes,
here
it
in the
is.
morning. So anyway, my new friend here is called Kenneth Feltz, and it's an incredible story. It's gone all over the world, absolutely incredible. Basically, he lived his life until the age of 90 before coming out very publicly as being gay. Absolutely incredible story. It's just gone all around the world, and so I'm so honoured that he's agreed to join me on my little show. So welcome, Kenneth.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, oh, brilliant. So let's first of all, I've got to say, loving the rainbow flag and the hair and the rainbow. I mean, yeah, you've really embraced this, Kenneth.
Yes, I have.
Good for you. Well done. Out and very proud.
Thank you. Yes.
So let's take right back to the beginning. So what was the earliest age that you felt different?
My father worked for the railroad and we were moved around a lot. So we ended up in a little town called Belen, New Mexico in about 1931, 32. And in the school there, I met another student my age, and he invited me to his home one night for an overnight. Um, we went. Belen is basically a Mexican village, and the houses are adobe. And in his home where we went, there was a large heating stove in the middle of the living dining room. And at night, the rooms would be closed off that were not being used, and the heat was directed into other rooms. It came bedtime, and we got undressed and got in bed. And as the evening wore on, the stove stopped giving out heat, and of course, we ended up snuggling close to each other and closer and closer. And pretty soon, we really got close, and it was a most enjoyable evening. And I decided at that point that that's something I really liked, and I was going to continue and participate.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was my first adventure.
Wow. But when so you felt that you enjoyed that, but then
Oh yeah.
after that feeling of enjoyment and that, oh, well, that's something you liked. Were there any other feelings? Were there any feelings of guilt or anything around that time?
It came from a rather fundamentalist Christian background and pretty religious myself, yes. And I knew that after I had experienced my friend there, that I could not tell anybody because I knew it was wrong. I had been told over and over that homosexuality was a sin, and if what I was engaging in was a sin, so I knew I couldn't tell anybody. So I immediately just buried it deep. Never brought it up. Never told anybody else. Uh, but that was definitely feelings of guilt based on a religious background.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I sort of had a similar sort of thing, with my coming out and everything, and being brought up, that it was wrong, well, though in my early days before I realised I was trans, I was a cross dresser, but then I wouldn't admit that to myself. So I can totally understand that. I mean, one of my earliest memories it was of my mum. Well, my mum catching me wearing a pair of my sister's knickers, and she told me off, and then every day of the following week she would pull my shorts down to make sure I was wearing my own pants, and it was humiliating, and it sowed the seed for life that it was bad, it was wrong, it was dirty, it was naughty, and so I can understand where you're coming from, because were your whole family very religious then, weren't they?
Fairly so, yes. I had two older brothers. I was the youngest.
Okay, okay, yeah. So you had that feeling there. You knew that you liked it, but then you knew that you shouldn't like it.
That's correct. It's really a strange feeling that what you like is wrong and what you don't like is the right way to do it.
I know.
It's just you have to choose the wrong way in order to be happy.
I know. It's not a great situation, is it? So So then what happened then? So you just then tried to sort of learn how to be heterosexual.
Um, from there, we were moved on to Winslow, Arizona, another little town, and in the high school there. And I got a job after school at a shoe store selling shoes. And the manager of the shoe store enticed me to his home and provided education on oral sex.
Okay.
And I was 15 at the time,
Okay.
15. So, and I liked that too. And I again knew that it had to be hidden, that nobody was going to have to find out about that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, uh, from there, it definitely, I knew that the homosexual side of me had to be subjugated and held down forever.
Yeah. And what would have been the consequences if you had have come out at that stage, do you think?
Actually, these were very small towns, so there would have been hardly any consequences immediately. But
Mm.
throughout the nation, the 50s and 60s were very intolerable times to try to come out. You'd lose your job, your family, your friends. You could be arrested, jailed, sent to psychological counseling, things that all were designed to suppress any homosexuality in the population.
Yeah, yeah. It's just say Donald Trump wasn't around in those days, was he?
No, thank heavens. Ah,
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting all political here. I shouldn't
yes,
be. I
yes.
shouldn't be. Um, yeah, because I mean, I know I don't know what the situation was with the law in those days in the States, but certainly in the UK, I think it was 1967. I think when it when being homosexual, certainly for men, um, became decriminalised or partially decriminalised. It wasn't fully decriminalised, and that's
Uh,
until a few years ago. But I don't know how was it in the States? What in terms of legalities?
uh, homosexuality was illegal up till the 60s, and it
Okay.
started changing in the 60s. Not a whole lot, but after
Mm.
Stonewall,
Yeah.
that's when we suddenly found that the gay generation was finding its voice and beginning to make itself known and to actually demonstrate against being second class citizens.
Yeah. 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 And when all that was happening, what
Mhm.
were you tempted to come out then at all?
Well, before we get to that point, um, in the 1950s, after I served 4 years in the Navy, and that was an experience in itself because when you join the Navy, one of the last questions on the application form is, "Are you a homosexual or do you have homosexual tendencies?" If you answer yes, then you're rejected for service. The information goes back to your local draft board, and the information is kind of spread all over town.
Ah,
And you're outed whether you want to be or not. And then again, you lose jobs and everything. The other hand, if you say yes, you've committed a felony because you've lied on a federal form. So no matter what you do, if you're a homosexual joining the military, you're going to be wrong. So I joined and I checked the no, I am not. And then I had to be very careful the 4 years I was serving to not ever be outed or exposed.
yeah.
After I was out of the Navy, though I moved to California and went to work for a retail credit company. And in there, I met a young man who was helping me with learning the new material, and we started dating. And finally, went to his home, and I spent about 7 months with him in a very amorous relationship. Um, and finally, well, in my memoirs, I write it down as one Saturday night, we really intensified our relationship. The next morning was Sunday. We went to church because he sang in the choir. He was a Church of God man and had been 4 years in a Christian college before coming to California. So he's in the choir singing for the service, and I'm in the pews thinking about our last night, which was really a wonderful night, you know. But it hits me right then that no matter how beautiful it was wrong. It was a sin. So
Bad, isn't
caught,
it?
I am caught in this dichotomy of right and wrong. What is right feels so good, but it's wrong, and what is wrong is not what I want. So that went on for about a month in my head, a little battle between me, and I couldn't stand it any longer. So I finally just up and left. Well, after preparing him for my leaving, but I left then and decided at that point that I was going to be a straight person the rest of my life. And I went back home to Kansas, completed some college, again as a straight person, came back to Kansas then and met a friend who hired me to run his office in Colorado Springs. I moved to Colorado Springs. I got an apartment. I joined the church, being very straight. I actually got onto the staff of the church as a director of the Social Concerns Commission, that type of thing. And in the church, then I met a young lady. We dated and we married June 1st, 1963. And on March the 27th, 1972, my daughter was born. And the marriage had never been really strong, but it was going, and I was straight, very straight. And finally, in 1980, we couldn't take it anymore. We got a divorce. The minute I got a divorce, I attempted to locate Philip again, my friend from my first love there from California,
Mm.
and was unable to do so. I didn't have sufficient information. There was no computers in those days.
Oh,
So
no.
all I had, I went to the library and got the Long Beach phone books and looked at every Philip in the phone book and called and called and called, but got no responses that, yes, that was me. So
Oh.
I had to give that up. Now, I couldn't come out
Mm.
because if I did, the Colorado courts would not allow me custody of my daughter. As a gay male having
Oh,
a female daughter, 7 years old, that was not possible. So I couldn't come out.
oh, good.
So I had no choice but to just remain uh, straight until, until there was no reason to come out after that. And then about 20 years ago, surprise, surprise, my daughter comes out to me that she's a lesbian. And that was a shock. And so I have this thing here. I'm straight, and I'm telling her, I can't approve of you being a lesbian. It's against what we believe. It's against the Bible that I am espousing here. And so I have this guilty feeling. I'm a gay person having to give the straight story to my daughter who is coming out as a lesbian.
That must have really eaten you up to have to like toe the line and know that it was against how you actually felt.
Yes, it was. But it was a tumultuous marriage, and I had to avoid any confrontation with her mother, my ex. So from that point on, I was straight. And after I moved from Denver to where I am now in Arvada, about 1998, 22 years ago, I gave up the church. I quit entirely. I decided this isn't going to work. It never has helped me. It didn't do me any good. So I quit the church, but I stayed straight, although I had some relationships while still being straight. And then along comes about a year ago, I woke up one morning unable to walk because of cellulitis in my left leg. And so I ended up in the hospital. As a result of that, I was seeing my PCP physician, and he noticed a swelling in my neck. In diagnosing that swelling, I had cancer. I had Hodgkin's lymphoma. So I immediately went to the cancer clinic and I went through cancer care, chemotherapy, which I thought was going to kill me. At about the seventh session, I finally told the doctor that I was not going to do any more. That if I had no quality of life doing the treatment, there was no use continuing it. So I quit cancer treatment. Unfortunately, however, the last testing came back that I was cancer free. So I still see my cancer doctor, but only to check up that my cancer is still gone.
Yeah. Oh,
But I had that cancer in January, February, March, and then in March we had the coronavirus. Coronavirus locked me into the house.
no,
So
no.
before that, I'd been going to the gym every day for a water aerobics class, riding the bicycle, meeting with people, talking. Now I'm totally locked up in my house, and I'm thinking of something to do. Well, prior to that, for 5 years, I had a personal trainer to help me with my exercise. He was gay, and he finally figured out that I was gay. I never came out to him, but he did, and he kept urging me to come out. Uh, October 11th, coming out day, he kept urging me to do it, and I told him I just couldn't do it. It was too much to lose.
Mm.
He's now in Germany, completing his PhD program at the Sports Institute there. But my personal trainer had urged me to write my story. After we finally got to know each other, he urged me to write my story. And I said, well, it wouldn't be any good to anybody. Well, when the coronavirus locked me into the house, I said, I've got to have something to do. So I decided to write my memoirs.
Yeah.
And I started writing them from the day of birth on. And when I got to Long Beach, California with Philip and I just about came apart. I still have a problem getting through him.
I can imagine.
Anyway,
It's so sad, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, it is very sad
Yeah.
because I did look for him, and I kept writing anyway. And then I put excerpts in my Facebook page. And when I came out, of course, I came out very publicly. I came out first to my daughter and close friends, and then I put it on my Facebook page, and then I made it public. And I could not believe the results of that. Plus, my daughter-in-law, my daughter's wife, had written the Denver Post and told them that there was a story there if they were interested in. And they did. They came out. They did the pictures. They ran the story. They did a great job, and that's the story that started going around the world. Um,
Incredible, absolutely incredible. Wow, there's several things there. I mean, first of all, when you came out to your daughter, after you'd given her such a hard time, coming out as being lesbian, what did she say when you told her?
she was very supportive, very supportive.
Yeah,
Had no negative comments at all.
no, good.
She reminded me that when she came out and I was telling her not to do it, that I had told her at that time, "You won't last 6 months if you do." Now 25 years 25 years into their relationship, they have two beautiful children, my grandchildren,
Oh, lovely,
uh, a boy and a girl. So they're still okay. They're
brilliant.
gonna
So
make
pleased
they're
to
gonna
hear it.
make it. Yeah,
But
past my 6 months.
yeah, but she didn't make you. She didn't sort of make you suffer a little bit and sort of say, "Well, you remember what you told me."
No, no, she didn't do that.
Oh, oh, good for her.
She missed a good chance.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. I'll give her a big hug from me.
All right.
So then when you came out very publicly, it's funny that our stories are so similar. I mean, I did a similar sort of thing, came out very publicly, and yeah, basically as a business protection thing, just to for my photography and video business, because it's named after my old male name, which is Martin. So it's Martin Neves Photography and Film, and so and I wanted to keep that the same, and so I came out very publicly, and made a coming out video. I sent it to all my clients, and I put it on Facebook initially, and then all my other social media, and I was absolutely dreading, coming out. I was really dreading it. But I needn't have been because I was inundated with hundreds of messages of support, and it sounds like the same things happened to you. Yeah, so this big build-up of 90 years, you've been dreading it, and all of a sudden, what was I worried about?
Yes, yes, you're absolutely correct. Out of the hundreds, and I mean hundreds of messages I've received on Messenger, on email,
Yeah,
one actually was opposed to my venture. One
wow,
person out of all of that was,
wow,
and a couple simply mentioned Leviticus, and I mentioned Corinthians,
right,
back and forth, but that's all. Other than that,
wow.
it's been overwhelming, the support, the love. I mean, people everywhere are just sending love. I wouldn't have room for it all if I didn't have a bottomless pit. It just
Oh,
keeps coming. Everybody just keeps telling me how much they love me and how much they appreciate my coming out and the support
yeah,
they've given them to possibly make their decision to come out.
And I think this is it. When people see stories like this, often people hold themselves back because they think that it's not okay to be gay or to be trans or whatever. Um, and then when they actually see stories and hear stories like this, think, well, actually, it is okay. It really is okay. And coming out and say, so many people I've spoken to have had a similar experience where they've actually absolutely dreaded coming out. They didn't want to do it. They didn't want to do it. But then when they did, it was a lot easier than they feared. Um,
I
yeah.
really didn't fear coming out.
Didn't
At
you?
age 90, I don't fear much of anything anymore.
I, I think
Been through too much.
I think the older you get, the less you give a damn, don't you?
That's right. I really don't care if people want to write me negative letters. I just laugh at them because they're not in my shoes. They don't know what I've been through. They have no idea what it's
Ex-
like to be a closet gay.
exactly. I think I'm already at that stage. I'm only 51, but I got to that stage as well. I don't give a damn either. But I
Yeah.
think, but it doesn't it feel amazing to be able to live your truth, though? Absolutely incredible.
Soon after I started getting all of these letters from people about the support and the well wishers, I wrote a little blurb that I put into Facebook about what it means to be free. And for a gay person, it's a different meaning than for other people, I believe, because all my life, whatever decision I made had to be censored by my gay side. If I wear these clothing, will I be considered gay? If I go to this movie and people see me go in, will they think I'm gay? If I read a book, will I be gay? Anything I did had to be self censored before it came out. I
Mm.
wore conservative clothing because I didn't want people to think if I was wearing bright clothing like that, yeah, that they would think I was gay. So everything was censored, and that was not free.
No.
And now I can put purple in my hair. I can wear clothing that I like. Anything like that goes now, and that's part of my freedom. Is I can do what I want. People,
Yeah.
I don't care what people think.
Yeah.
If they, I, when I go into the store with my rainbow jumper on, people comment about what a pretty sweater. Where'd you get it?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Absolutely. Fantastic.
they're not concerned that it represents the gay community,
No.
which I which I'm trying to promote.
No, no. And it's funny. I don't know if it's the same as in the States, but over here at the moment, because of the coronavirus pandemic, the rainbow has been used a lot to represent the NHS. And so you see, there's rainbow. Children have been painting rainbows, and they've been putting them in the house.
Yeah.
We've got one, in fact, in downstairs in my front window. There's a rainbow there, but that's as supporting the people that work for the NHS, right? So it's sort of taken over the pride emblem
Yes.
of it, really.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's because it's funny. When I was living for 48 years as Martin, um, I had terrible dress sense. I was I was very boring the way that I dressed. It was all it was very boring. And the thing is that I think as a man, I felt very restricted about what I could wear, and it was all very boring, and clothes, male clothes, just didn't interest me at all. And so, shopping for male clothes, it was just boring. I would only buy stuff as a replacement. So when something wore out, I just buy it as a replacement. That was it. Shopping for women's clothes, on the other hand,
Ah.
complete. I could be there all day.
Yes. Yes.
Completely different story. And of course, obviously now, I've been living full time as female since 2nd of September 2018, so almost 2 years. Um, and I can wear anything, absolutely anything now, and it's just so freeing. It just feels great, and so I can really identify with you about just being able to wear anything and all the colours and everything, and being able to dye your hair and everything like that. I mean,
Yes.
just fantastic. I'm so pleased for you. I really am.
Thank you.
Yeah. So with all this media attention, then, so who else have you been speaking to? Where has this story gone?
The actual story that was originally published has gone around the world. If I look on the computer and enter my name, I find that the story is being published in Tokyo, in India. I get messages from Sweden and Norway saying, "We read your story." I get lots of mail from Africa. surprisingly,
Wow.
and South America. They seem to be more towards the gay community.
Wow.
Um, it just goes everywhere. I have two requests right at the moment. One is from a magazine in Italy, Cio Pipio Media Group, Italian publisher of Fanpage It. I don't know, but I still have some interviews to go this
Wow.
week
Wow.
because like I say, I don't know why it hasn't stopped. I mean, Pride Month is over. June was Pride Month, and that's when my story came out. But
But,
Pride Month is gone. July is gone. We're into
but
August, and the story is still out.
no, but Kenneth, Pride isn't just 1 month. Pride is for life. Absolutely. Wow. Yeah. So I mean, I think there's a film in this, isn't there? There's got to be.
I think somebody is looking at that.
There's got to be. I mean, it's such.
Yeah.
I mean, to sort of suppress your true self for 90 years, but how amazing that you have actually been able to come out and be your true self, though. That's
What's
fantastic.
amazing to me is the number of times I almost got caught and was outed by somebody else. Those
Really.
those, those are scary times. So I didn't want to be out at that time.
Yeah, yeah. I had a few close shaves. I must say, I myself, I always thought that I would be outed. I mean, the number of times I used to sort of come and go. I mean, what I used to do is I used to go from the house, not dressed as Katie. I'd be go out dressed as Martin, and I'd go to a beauty therapist, and I'd have my makeup done and get changed there. And then I'd go out for the day shopping, and then I'd go back to one of the beauty therapists' houses because I was really good friends with them in the end. And I'd get changed for the evening, and we'd go out a whole load of us, a girls' night out, and it'd be fabulous, and I'd feel great. And then as it was getting towards the end of the evening, I knew that I'd had to go back into bloke mode, and I hated that. And I mean, sometimes in the earlier days, I used to get changed back there and then come back in male mode. But then later on, I used to sort of come back as Katie, but under cover of darkness, like an SAS operation, just in case, making sure, hoping that the neighbours didn't see me. And I was sure that at one point, that at some point, that the neighbours would catch me. But I'm incredibly lucky that.
Yeah.
That no one did. I think I could become an undercover agent. I think
You had practice, yes.
I did, didn't I? Yeah, yeah. It's
Yes.
amazing that. But of course now, now it's great. I don't have to pretend now, and I'm the real me, and nobody gives a damn anyway.
That's right. That's right. I am me.
Exactly. And I think this is the thing. We all get worried about what other people are going to say. But in
Yes.
reality, everybody's so wrapped up in their own lives. When they're out and about, they're not thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves and what they've got to get done and everything. And that's
Yes.
the reality of it, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. I'm a very small part of their life.
Yeah. We all, we all are. I mean, that's the reality of it, isn't it? But
Especially now.
Yeah, but we put so much pressure on ourselves, don't we? And to think we have to
Yeah.
conform to what other people say that we should do. So
That's true.
yeah.
That's true.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with me, Kenneth. It's been an absolute joy and a privilege to talk to you. And I'm going to look out for that film because I'm sure it will be made into a film. I'm sure it
Very
will.
good.
And then I can say, "Oh, I spoke to him. He was one of my cool people."
There you go.
You've got the award for being the oldest cool person that I've interviewed.
Okay.
You are
Okay.
the very epitome of what this is all about. So thank you very much for being today's cool person.
You're more than welcome. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, brilliant. Thanks, Kenneth. And thanks very much for watching this. So if you'd like to know any more about what I get up to, then please have a look at cooltobetrans.co.uk, and please look out for the next episode of Cool People. I wonder who's going to be next.